Over the weekend, we learned a lot about the alleged killer in the Charlie Kirk assassination, a man who was reportedly dating a transgender individual and is at least slightly left-aligned. And the reason I say that is that simply because the individual was dating someone else, we don't know this suspect's political preference. However, considering their roommate hates conservatives and Christians, friends and other people who know the suspected assassin have said he's the only left person in the family. We have reports from outside the family saying he was left-aligned and contextualized circumstantial evidence of pretty sure if you're dating a trans person, you're probably not conservative. But that in and of itself is not entirely far left. So I'm trying to be careful here because I want to give you the best and most honest assessment. This person was left-aligned. To what degree? That's up for debate. But you're not going to make the argument that a MAGA conservative or groyper is living with and dating a trans person. But that's exactly what the left has been doing now. They are claiming that Charlie Kirk's killer is in fact far right. And they're using fake photoshopped images, fake news stories, and they are also lying about things Charlie Kirk has said with fake quotes because they are in a panic. The left has flooded the zone with so much mis- and disinformation as if they're to inoculate their base from the harsh reality. It is a death cult. Now, I'm going to give you my best and honest assessment of what we know about the individual. And it may not be 100% correct, but it seems to be the case right now. Again, the left is arguing that a follower of Nick Fuentes, a groyper, was so upset with Charlie Kirk for not being far right enough that they shot and killed him, which makes quite literally no sense considering Charlie Kirk said that although they disagreed because Charlie Kirk wasn't right enough on certain issues, he was a towering figure of conservatism, I'm paraphrasing. And it makes literally no sense that even if Fuentes and Charlie Kirk disagreed, why anyone who followed Nick Fuentes would go after the right at all. The majority of what Nick Fuentes is talking about is left problems. It's fake. It's a lie. And I'm going to prove it to you. Now, I want to stress this simply because the suspect is dating a trans person does not mean that they're a socialist or a Marxist. We don't know that necessarily. However, we do have reports that the trans roommate was hated conservatives and Christians and supported Joe Biden, which is much worse than the left even wants to acknowledge, and it's why they're panicking. This person is closer to mainstream Democrat than anyone wants to admit. Now, the reason why these liberals are claiming the man was a groyper, and they're using the flimsiest of evidence, is that they're saying that the bullet casings that were the engravings on the casings actually are video game culture, and that means he's far right. Well, in fact, I will assure you, Twitch, where most people are playing video game streams, is dominated by the left, and they understand memes and video games all the same. Now, the bullets said several things. Hey, fascist catch, with a reference to Helldivers 2. This one's up in the air. I mean, I don't think a groyper is going to call Charlie Kirk a fascist. That seems very weird. But they said, no, it's a reference to the video game. That's why. I'm going to say, fine, sure, whatever. The one that says, notice his bulge, OWO. That's a meme making a joke about trans people online, furries online, transgender furry. And it's two disgusting. I mean, this is what the meme is. It's two fat, disgusting guys looking at each other. Looking at their screens, and they're sexting with each other. And so the point was that's what they're doing. They say that was homophobic, therefore they're groypers. No, it's just a meme. More importantly, they say that, or I should say that to add, they say if you read this, you are gay. That's homophobic. Instead of telling people what it actually says, they just say a homophobic phrase. That's a lie. If you read this, you're gay is not homophobic. It's just childish humor. It's not even relevant to anything. The most important engraving is Oh Bella Ciao, with the most egregious lie. Groypers do not sing Oh Bella Ciao. This is 100% fabricated by the left, and I'm going to prove it. At a vigil recently, leftists were singing Oh Bella Ciao. This is an extremely esoteric World War II Italian Antifa song. This individual, as far as we know, all evidence points to a man who wanted to kill Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk had been speaking out against transgender ideology and these recent transgender mass shooters. In fact, it was just after Charlie Kirk was asked a question about transgender mass shooters that he was shot. Perhaps the shooter was trying to tell you exactly what they were doing and why they were doing it. Now, I'll show you a little bit of the news here, but most importantly, I want to break down the lies from the left because there is a much more, well, there's a darker question, and the question is, where do we go from here? My friends, when I saw prominent individuals that I knew that are liberal, moderate, celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, and the flooding of the zone with fake images in order to trick their followers, there is only one direction this will go. They are justifying the assassination of a 31-year-old man in front of his wife and children. I'm sorry. I don't know how a country recovers from that. When you have tens of millions of people being tricked into believing lies for the purpose of radicalization. And I'm not even going to come out here and say this guy was a Marxist, commie, or whatever. I'm trying to give you the best assessment based on the news. Here's Fox News. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin's transgender roommate hates conservatives and Christians, relative says. Family member says individual became radicalized and influenced Tyler Robinson's politics over the past year. Okay, that's just one bit. Here's the New York Post. Charlie Kirk assassination suspect had furry fixation and his trans boyfriend proclaimed support for Biden on social media. More evidence just keeps coming out. And then Andy Knows reporting. Unmasking Luna. Charlie Kirk assassin suspect's alleged lover is confirmed to be trans. I investigate the evidence confirming that Tyler Robinson's roommate, who authorities believe was actually his romantic partner, is trans. You know what? I'm going to pull up Axios. I thought I already had that one pulled up, but I thought I did. It's not here, but it's right here. This is very important. Kirk investigators aghast transgender roommate may lead to motive. And they say authorities are investigating whether Tyler Robinson's suspected killing of Charlie Kirk believed Kirk's views on gender identity were hateful to people like Robinson's transgender roommate. 6 sources familiar with the case tell Axios. You know why Axios put 6 sources? Because they know the left won't believe it, but 6 is above and beyond. I'm not saying to blindly trust them, but journalism standard practices is 3 confirmations. The media loves to go with 1 confirmation if it smears the right. When it's the left, they need 6 because then it's basically undeniable. 6 individuals familiar with the case believe that the motivation is that this guy's roommate, possibly lover, let's just say roommate, he was friends with somebody who is trans. That means he's in this culture, and you are not going to argue that a Nick Fuentes supporting MAGA groiper living or loving a trans person decided to kill Charlie Kirk for literally any reason, let alone because he was hateful of trans people. Wait till they hear what Nick Fuentes has to say about trans people. It is absolutely psychotic and evil what they are doing. Take a look at this from Colin Rugg. We'll get you the proof. An account with 5 million followers on X posts a fake photo of suspect Tyler Robinson wearing a Trump shirt and quietly follows up in a thread with the real photo. The fake photo, which has not been deleted, gets 400,000 impressions in an hour. This image is plastered across my Facebook page. This man wearing a Trump shirt, it is fake. They photoshopped it because they are degenerate evil. And I'm sorry. The people coming out now saying, you got to have unity. The things I have seen. Now, I have never advocated for severing ties from anyone over politics. But celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, calling for the death of more, which includes me, mind you, and flooding the zone with fake images and lies. I'm sorry, the line has been crossed. Now, the left, for them, crossing the line was voicing an opinion they didn't like. And I'm not exaggerating. Cancel culture right now is the name of the game. That's what they're all saying. The left, they went after you if they found an old tweet from you or an old post where you said something naughty. The right goes after you when you call for the death of conservatives and dance on the grave of a man who was just killed by potentially a leftist. There's a big difference. And I'll have that argument in the next segment. For now, we're going to break through the lies. Here's a post from Reddit Lies. This is literal fake news. This is a literal fake news site getting mass upvoted on Reddit right now. Lies are used to radicalize the base, which are used as a predicate for violence. Investigate Reddit. I'm going to pull up this very important video. I got to scroll back to find it. Because there's too much. And I do want to play the Oh Bella Ciao stuff in a second. They're currently investigating 7 accounts. It seems that there was advanced foreknowledge within transgender activist circles. There was foreknowledge that the shooting was going to take place. And the FBI is currently investigating that. The images that they're posting at universities are absolutely horrifying. And I think I have this video on my socials that I'm looking for. There's a lot of stuff that I've been posting. And let's see. I do want to give credit to the FBI. I know a lot of people are saying the FBI just did, the family turned him in, but I don't think that's fair. I think it's important to mention that they put out the images. This allowed this person to be found. Oh, this person may have blocked me for calling them out. Bill Maher had a good response, though people have criticized him in the past. And here we go. Let's see. Found it. Here we go. Politics girl.
Until now, because we didn't know anything. And since my channel was created not to report the news, but to make sense of it, I felt like the only responsible thing to do was to wait until there was more information.
No, I think the real reason prominent liberals like this waited was because they knew they were in trouble. This is not somebody who is a Marxist-Leninist, as far as we can tell. The assassin is not somebody that we look at their socials and they're saying, workers of the world unite. This is an individual who seemingly only has one motive. Charlie Kirk spoke out against transgender ideology, and this person was either lovers or roommates with a trans person. Transgender ideology is presumably the motive and core, according to 6 investigators, Axios reports. Not to mention our own common sense when we learned this person was dating a trans person. The issue for them, transgender ideology is mainstream Democrat, not far left.
It now appears that the person who shot and killed right-wing political commentator Charlie Kirk was like the majority of shooters in America, a young white male from a conservative pro-gun religious background. After being told for 2 straight days that the left had declared war on America, that the shooter was most likely trans, or in Congresswoman Nancy Mace's words, pro-tranny, after the Wall Street Journal published an article they had to later walk back that the bullets had a pro-trans message because it turned out to be just the markings of one of the world's biggest ammunition factories.
Lies. Did you hear what she just said? One of the markings of the world's biggest ammunition factories. This was one of the first lies. Let me see if I can pull this one up and debunk this for you, where they claimed that TRN appeared on the bullets. You see how she's pushing this lie. She didn't bother to fact check. Here it is. Here's the lie. This post right here is just one of a bunch that were pushing this lie. The DOJ already released false info about etchings on the bullet casing. TRN has nothing to do with trans. It's manufactured by an ammo company called Turin. Low-grade bullets, actually. The DOJ ran with that. This is effing disgusting Gestapo move. Well, of course, as most of you already know, no, the DOJ said, it didn't say TRN. It said, hey, fascist, catch. It said, upright, down, down, down. If you read this, you are gay. It said, notice is bold. It said, oh, Bella Ciao. Let me see if I can find... here we are. Protesters sung Oh Bella Ciao at the vigil mourning his death tonight. Groypers don't sing that. Nobody knows what that is. It's esoteric and in activist circles only. But you see the lies that she's pushing.
They were wrong.
Nope.
We still don't know the motivation for the killing, but we will find out more.
She said it was the etchings. It was the engravings from one of the biggest bullet manufacturers. She lied, and she is lying. They are on full-scale damage control. Here's a fake quote they're pushing out. My only direct reference to Kirk was one post, his own words on records. They're lying. Claiming that Kirk said black women don't have the brain processing power to be taken seriously. He never said that. It's a fabrication because they need to justify the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Here's Vanity Fair. Groypers, Helldivers 2, and furries. What do the messages left by Charlie Kirk's alleged killer actually mean? These are the narratives that are being pushed forward. But how about Charlie Kirk's own words? Assassination culture is spreading on the left. 48% of liberals say it would be at least somewhat justified to murder Elon Musk. 55% said the same about Donald Trump. In California, activists are naming ballot measures after Luigi Mangione. The left is being whipped into a violent frenzy. Any setback, whether losing an election or losing a court case, justifies a maximally violent response. This is the natural outgrowth of left-wing protest culture tolerating violence and mayhem for years on end. The cowardice of local prosecutors and school officials have turned the left into a ticking time bomb. Charlie posted this April 7th, and there's the data. Yes, the left has lionized assassins. Luigi Mangione has sainthood candles and is praised to this day. The only reason they're trying to back away from this guy now is because mainstream America loved Charlie. He was a moderate, traditional conservative, and he preached debate. And he was killed for that. And the message is terrifying to the left. That's why Politics Girl is lying. That's why they're all lying. I made this post. It has 26.3 million views. And thank you to Elon Musk, not just for reposting my story, but for the continued support. I am honored that, and I mean this sincerely. I get really, when I make some posts, they get a lot of push. And because, Elon either agrees or thinks people should see it, and he has a very large following. And for that, I am grateful. I tweeted this. I was swatted 15 times in 1 year. I had the bomb squad at my studio twice. And on one night, we had a credible threat and we were forced to evacuate the show while we were live. And 40,000 people watched an empty room for 3 hours. The police are on camera sweeping the building and they're on the show with dogs. Little dog, but still funny. Last year, a man in a dress attacked one of my employees at our old location. We have armed guards. This is how it's been because of the left. And this is not even an exhaustive list. There are as much as you can go to any Groyper or Nick Fuentes forum and hear them call me a Jew and a shill for Israel and make up lies about me. I've never been threatened by a Groyper. You know what the worst thing a Groyper has ever said to me? Debate Nick Fuentes. And I'm like, I don't know what I'd debate him on. I don't think we talk about the same things. That's it. Why don't you debate him? Ooh, Tim, you should debate. Oh, I'm so scared of debate. I'm not, in fact. And see, that's the lie that the left is pushing, right? The Groypers, more than anything, would want Charlie Kirk to debate Nick Fuentes. And they would clap and cheer. That's what they probably wanted more than anything. To get Nick Fuentes in front of Charlie Kirk with a big audience so that Nick Fuentes could debate and, in their views, establish their premise and why they're right. So no, the Groypers who beg and demand that you debate Nick are not going to go and kill someone. It makes no sense. None. Now, for me, we get threats all the time, and they're always from leftists. The Swannings, we have strong evidence that we know who did it, and they're leftists. It makes no sense that a conservative would go after a conservative, even if you're just a moderate, even on Israel. You've got the left, moderate liberals, they're pro-Israel all the same. You got moderate conservatives, pro-Israel all the same. And that's not even the biggest issue for these people. It is lie after lie. I showed you the Bella Ciao thing. Apparently, the Charlie Kirk shooter had a death note. They wrote that they had the opportunity to take out Charlie and they were going to take it. That's the latest reporting. And Chris Murphy posts, pay attention. Something dark might be coming. The murder of Charlie Kirk could have united Americans to confront political violence. Instead, Trump and his anti-democratic radicals look to be readying a campaign to destroy dissent. I've got a lot more to record on this, but I want to keep this one here as it mostly deals with how they're pushing these lies. But where do the lies go, my friend? I just want to say this. It's fascinating. Civil War, right? There's a image of a bunch of posts I've made over the past with the word Civil War in them. Aside from the fact that some of them are intentionally ironic or meant to be jokes. Like, I think someone once posted something like a guy threw a pancake at a guy eating waffles or something. It's like something like that. And then I'm like, Civil War in all caps, like obviously mocking the idea. But they've screenshotted all of them, some of which are serious. And at first, they said Tim Pool is insane and a psychopath for thinking a civil war is possible. And they post this and they laugh. Sam Cedar came on my show. And we debated. He's like, you really think a civil war? Blah. I was like, well, I don't know for sure. But Barbara F. Walters and Stephen Marsh and much more learned people than I, a Princeton professor, have made those predictions. And they cited this evidence, and they are the experts. All I can say is, interesting. I fear they may be correct. And I think it's worth talking about. Well, in that conversation with Sam, I asked him, do you think that Donald Trump will use the military to enforce immigration law? He said, yes. I said, okay, will the left let him? He wasn't sure. Well, maybe. I mean, Democrats kind of just lay back and are let it happen. Perhaps. But will the left? Will leftists? Here was my prediction last year, and I've been correct. Donald Trump will use the military for immigration and law enforcement. He told me police, but you can't. There's not enough. And so he would use the military in some capacity. The National Guard would likely be called in, and blue state governors would reject the authority, and the National Guardsmen would then have to decide which side are they on, Trump or their home state. Now, from there, I have made further predictions, which may be proven wrong, but at least now, this is where we're at. Donald Trump called in the National Guard and the Marines. Gavin Newsom filed a suit to take authority over the California National Guard, and that is still being adjudicated. With currently, I believe Trump has the current ruling is in his favor, that the restrictions are stayed pending a Supreme Court or something. I said from there it's going to escalate. My prediction beyond that, which we are not currently at, is that the National Guard is then going to have to decide, if challenged, if Newsom says, defy the courts, they can't force you, a National Guardsman is going to be told, my home is in California. If I defy the government here, they can take my home. If I defy Trump, he's in D.C., what's he going to do about it? The feds don't have that much power here, only if we grant it to them. So what do? Therein lies the dangerous question. Now, that question is probably much further out, but in the meantime, the left is not going to simply allow the right to win. And this is the escalation we're seeing. The point, while they used to make fun of me for saying civil war, and quite honestly, once again, just reporting the news articles that have referenced it, and the experts, while I do agree, they're now claiming we are here because it wasn't predictions, it was me egging it on. They did the same thing to me after J6. In that post, I even say in 2020 that we are pushing towards a civil war, and it is getting dangerous. In September of 2020, I predicted that if Trump were to lose, his supporters in November would storm the White House. They would rush to D.C. They're not going to tolerate this. And I was mocked and I was ridiculed. They said, you're a lunatic. You live in a paranoid delusion. None of this is ever going to happen. It's crazy. November came and went. Trump lost. And what happened? Liberals made videos saying Tim Pool's a paranoid lunatic for saying this. Look how dumb he is. And then January 6th happened. I got my timeline wrong. They didn't storm the White House, and it wasn't in November. It was the Capitol in January for the inauguration. After this, they said, how did Tim Pool know? How was he right about this? He had foreknowledge. Yeah, it's called reading the news. This is the game. There's never going to be a circumstance where they admit, maybe Tim Pool is actually right about all these things. No, they're either going to say you're a schizoid lunatic and you're paranoid. Then when it happens, they say someone informed you and you're a criminal. You knew and never reported it. There's no winning. And I'll say this finally. I could be wrong about all of it. The assassination of Charlie Kirk could be the end. The line has been crossed, so the Rubicon, beyond the Rubicon. The line has been crossed to such a degree. Maybe, just maybe, liberals go, guys, please stop. Except what have we seen? Politics Girl is a mainstream normie liberal, and she's lying, claiming the far right did this to justify the assassination, to protect the base and their cult, so that when more death and assassinations happen, they can say, wasn't us. Lists are emerging on Blue Sky. My name is on those lists, making it difficult for me to travel and do what I normally do, living my life. And they say, it's the far right, actually. And that's the game. I have only ever experienced threats from the far left, and the threats have only gotten worse. And these mainstream normie libs and people like Chris Murphy come out and say, no, it's the far right. It's pretty obvious. This road that we are on leads in one direction. Read about Rwanda. The constant demonization of either political faction leads in one direction. And don't get me wrong. The left is going to say, but look at what the right is saying about the left. Tim, you called them evil. You called them demons. Indeed, that's the world we live in. There is no reality where I can tell you that Politics Girl, who is intentionally lying and spreading fake news, the bullets just had manufacturer engravings. That was a lie spread to cover up what the left was doing, because they realized what they did is negative for them. So they're lying. And again, that's a mainstream liberal Democrat, not a far left Antifa psychopath. This is a moderate woman. She's associated with Midas Touch and prominent liberal media and Democrat organizations. And she's lying to cover this up. That's where we are at. So by all means, I will say it again. I live in the middle of nowhere with a security perimeter and armed guards because I'm trying to get away from all of what they are doing in these cities. And it's not just that, it's the killing of Irina Zarutska. Democrats are demanding gun laws right now while their DAs release people on gun charges. It makes absolutely no sense what they are doing. And for my safety and security, recognizing that psychotic behavior, I have to leave. Let me stress that again. While right now they're saying Charlie Kirk wanted the guns. It's what he advocated for. While they're saying we need to ban guns because of these shootings, in the school shootings, the children in Colorado, tragic, I know. When these men in their own cities are caught on gun charges like DC or New York, the judges let them go. They are lying. It is a cult. Their only game plan apparently is power and destruction. Even Crystal Ball, right now lamenting the cancel culture on the right, getting people fired for dancing on Charlie's grave, while literally a month or two ago, she celebrated a fascist who got fired from his job for publicly saying he was fascist. Consistency be damned. A man was just shot and killed in front of his children and wife. A thought leader who advocated for nonviolence and debate, and he was good at it. And now they say, it was the far right. I'm sorry. I was talking to Jack Posobiec. I told him the story of the resurrection doesn't sway me. You know, I believe in God, I do. But I'll tell you one thing. I absolutely believe in demons, and I believe in possession. I do. And what that means, everyone says, Tim, you're so close. You're so close. Well, none of that proves to me the resurrection. I'm not trying to be offensive or anything like that. I have heard stories, and I have personally witnessed things that seem to defy even greed and human vice, the acts of depravity and evil that serve not to benefit anyone. It makes no sense. I'll leave it there. More to come. Smash the like button, share the show, follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all in the next segment.